It's a new year and it usually means new goals, but you might be feeling lost on what to work on next in RuneScape, and don't worry, I'm here to help you, so sit back, relax, and I'll tell you what's next. Anyway, let's talk about it. Yo, what's going on guys, my name is Chevalric and today we're going to be talking about RuneScape in 2023 and what goals you could be setting to be able to progress your account to a state where you can PVM or do whatever you want to do in this game pretty much. We'll be going over some goals that you could be setting if, you know, you're a returning player or you're feeling a bit lost in RuneScape, a full on mid-game player and an end-game player. So use timestamps correctly in the, chapters down below to be able to skip to the part that applies to you. If you don't know, just keep watching. If you're going to enjoy this video, definitely give it a like. Join in the discussion in the comment section down below. What are your goals for 2023? Subscribe if you're new, and let's just get into it. Let's start off with some goals you could be setting as a returning or a new player. Some of these might seem far away from where you are, but trust me, these are some great goals to work towards because they just unlock so much content in general. It's great to just get your account up and running or just jump back into RuneScape, whatever you've been needing. So first of all, unlocking Prifdiness. That's probably something you hear a lot, and it's by doing the Plague's End quest line. Why is it so good though? Well, first of all, Prifdiness just unlocks a lot of just training methods all across for all types of skills that are just amazing. Some of them are more endgame-ish or like higher level training methods, but in general, Prifdiness is just a great area. Plus, you have a Grand Exchange right next to a lodestone, so that already makes it really, really nice. But another great reason to unlock Prifdiness is because you need quite a lot of high skill requirements, and that gets your account up and going. And I have another tip for that as well, but let me just go over the skill requirements real quick. 75 agility, construction, crafting, dungeoneering, herblore mining, prayer, range, summoning, and woodcutting. Yeah, that's quite a list, I know, but it's worth going for it. And I, as I said, have a different tip for you guys. Don't just train all those skills to 75, but try to do quests to level up your skills. And what I mean by it is, instead of training crafting straight away, go look at quests on the wiki. I'll put a link in the description to quest experience on which quest will give you crafting experience. Because in that way, you're also completing other quests and unlocking other useful things along the way whilst going for Prifdiness. That's just a tip for me. Speaking of quests, I think it's good if you do these quests. Unlocking the Temple of Santistan quest, or finishing the Temple of Santistan quest, because it unlocks the Curse's Prayer Book. Why the Curse's Prayer Book is so good is because it will unlock Soul Split and Turmoil and everything else that are the other prayers. I think Anguish and I don't know what the other one is called, but pretty much they are the damage boosting and the defense and accuracy boosting prayers at tier 95. I know that sounds really high, but hear me out. At 92, you will also unlock Soul Split. Soul Split pretty much makes it so some damage you do, you will heal back. In certain cases, you could just have Soul Split up and just heal all the damage back that you do to a boss and the damage that it does to you, of course. I know that they are high requirements, but pretty much getting 92/95 prayer. 95 is not a hard requirement, but it's just really nice to have those boosting prayers. They make a big difference, believe it or not, when it comes to damage. Is huge. And just investing money into even buying Dragon Bones, doing it with the Powder of Burial, which is a new method, or you can just do it in the wilderness because, well, there's no PKers anymore in the wilderness, so you watch out for the bosses though, like the monsters that spawn on you. But besides that, you can just do it in the wilderness and save some money. Definitely worth getting, and it is a huge unlock for PVM. Another huge unlock is getting overloads at 96 herblore. Yet again, a very high requirement, but trust me, it is worth investing the money into 96 herblore. Overloads make such a huge difference. They give you a plus 18 or plus 21, depending on which type of overload you'll be using. Boost to all your combat stats. That is a lot of max hits higher and a lot of accuracy higher than what you would normally be hitting. And it's just insanely good for PVM. Those two, the prayer and the herblore, are probably two, I would almost say hard requirements to really start PVMing and taking on some bosses. Another good thing to unlock, which will help you with not only bosses but also with skilling, is unlocking Invention. You unlock the Invention skill after getting 80 crafting, divination, and smithing, and this skill is complicated. I will link a guide in the description down below by Protox because he has an incredible guide on Invention, but pretty much a rundown. Invention allows you to add perks to your gear that have various effects. So for example, you can add Precise to your weapons, which will literally just increase the damage that that weapon does. upgrading your weapon pretty much by just adding a perk. And that perk is not that difficult or expensive to make. Or you can add in a a perk that adds it to your axe, and when you cut wood, it will burn it. You won't get fire making experience, but instead of you getting a resource, you just get extra experience. So it's just increasing your experience now. Or you can add things to your armor that it pops enhanced devoted, it's what it's called. And devoted pretty much negates all the damage, like how the old prayers used to do for a couple of seconds if you're praying the right thing. That just randomly pops into combat. Or crackling, where your armor just randomly does damage to a boss. There's so many perks to go over, and it's a very, very good skill for all types of activities within RuneScape. It's just very, very useful, and it also unlocks like an auto alch or an auto disassembler, or even something for archaeology, which we'll go over in just a second, where it will automatically screen the soil you dig up. Definitely worth it. Definitely go unlock invention. And lastly, for the getting back into the game, or the early goals, unlock Animate Dead. Animate Dead is such a good spell because when you're using magic tank armor, you will negate a lot of the damage by using the Animate Dead spell. I don't know the exact percentages because it varies with whichever tier armor you be using, but let me put this in perspective. At tier 75 armor, Ganadormic, you can probably get a set for about 2 or 3 million GP. And you can get yourself a wand and orb of Cywares, which will set you back about 30 million GP, or maybe 40, depending on the prices when you're watching this. In combination with Animate Dead, which you unlock from the City of Santissen quest, you will be able to negate so much damage that you can literally AFK some of the God Wars Dungeon 2 bosses and literally just sit there and just wait for the boss to die. It is that good, and it's great as a buffer to teach you PVM. So what will you be needing? Well, you need 74 magic, 75 slayer, and 74 archaeology. And lastly, that archaeology thing is something I kind of want to touch up on. Archaeology is an incredible skill. In my opinion, it's the best skill in RuneScape. It's the best fleshed out skill within RuneScape. And I recommend you following the wiki guide that I will also be linking in the description down below, which pretty much tells you how to train it from level 1 to, well, level 74 in this case. It will also unlock relics, which we'll go over later in this guide, but they pretty much are also some passive boosts that you can pretty much add to your account. Definitely worth getting Animate Dead, and you train archaeology in the process. So let's say you don't need the goals that I just talked about. You're a mid-game player and you feel lost. You might have 80 stats across the board. Maybe you have 96 Herblore. If you have 95 prayer or 92 prayer, obviously go get those if you don't have them, because we just talked about it. What do you do? Well, first of all, I would really recommend, if you haven't done so already, getting your combat stats to 99. It doesn't really take that long, especially if you go do trash runs in Elite Dungeons 3. It will probably take you about maybe a weekend of playing to get all your skills to 99, and it's just worth it. Trust me. You don't need 99 prayer, you don't need 99 summoning. If you have the charms and you have some money, get yourself 96 summoning to be able to summon Ripper Demons. It's a nice buff to your PVM, but it's not really needed. Besides, obviously, the combat stats, you might want to start focusing on gear upgrades. The biggest tip that I can be giving you is focusing on one style. Right now, magic is kind of tied with range for being the best style. If you have the Fracture Staff of Armadale, which is a tier 95, 3 billion GP weapon, magic is probably better than range. However, that new bow that's also 6 mil is also really good. However, you're not looking at those prices, you're looking at some more reasonable prices. I would say that magic is probably best because it's also easy, and you have Animate Dead, which obviously, as we talked about before, gives you a lot of defensive buffs. So I would recommend you focusing on magic. Get yourself the tier 85 wand and orb, or even if you can get a Noxious Staff at tier 90, it's also worth it. However, if you are going to be buying Greater Concentrated Blast, which is an incredibly good ability, it's so good that even with the best in slot gear, you bring a wand and orb to just be able to use that ability. It's that strong, and it's sitting around 150 million GP, which I know sounds a lot, but trust me, it is worth it. But as I said, if you buy that ability, I would recommend you upgrading to your tier 90 wand and orb instead of a staff. It's a bit more expensive, but it's definitely worth it. And get yourself automatic tank armor. Start with Ganadormic, upgrade to Sea Singers if you have the money, and obviously if you really have the money, get yourself that Crypt Bloom. Pretty much magic tank armor is better than DPS armor in this case. If you don't want to be going for magic and you just want to focus on range because, for example, you want to be doing next where magic is pretty much irrelevant, get yourself Ascensions. A set of Ascensions used to cost about 450 million. They are currently going for around 300 million GP. Get yourself an Ascension crossbow main hand, and the offhand you can get later. If you want to have a cheap option, you can get yourself a Wyvern crossbow instead. A full set of Sarenic, which is tier 90 armor, but literally costs you 50 million GP, so it's even cheaper than tier 80 armor, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. In combination with some criminal ruby and diamond bolts, get the enchanted versions, and you'll be hitting a lot of damage on bosses like Nex, or just in general. It's very easy DPS, you're just not as tanky as with Mage. But let's say you're not much of a PVMer, or, well, you already have these things, but you need some other goals. Well, one thing I can recommend you doing is completing all the quests. I mean, quests unlock various great upgrades all across the game, like the Infernal Puzzle Box from the new Legacy of Zamorak storyline that recently released. Just filter your quest lines on, well, your quest log on quest lines to be able to see whatever quest lines I'm talking about. But the Legacy of Zamorak is ending with the Succession quest, so you could also just go to the wiki and just go from there and just see the list there. But the Infernal Puzzle Box at level 6 will give you the Persistent Rage, or the old Persistent Rage relic, which pretty much makes it so your adrenaline doesn't drain. You don't have to adrenaline stall. You can pretty much start every single boss fight with 100% adrenaline, which is huge because you can start off with something like Sunshine or Death Swiftness. By the way, if you haven't unlocked those, go unlock those. They're really, really good. But also, they unlock the Dive ability, which is a Bladed Dive variant without having to have dual wield. If you don't know what Bladed Dive is, it's like Surge, but you can pretty much point where you want to dive to. And it's such a good ability, and it really helps you dodge some mechanics at bosses. Another good quest to do is the Extinction quest. It gives you the passive Ring of Vigor. If you don't know what the Ring of Vigor does, pretty much when you do a ultimate ability, like the not the threshold abilities where you use all your 100%, but like the ones where you need like 50%, it saves some of the adrenaline that you would normally use of that ability. So you start off with, you know, you end with some more adrenaline when you're doing abilities, which doesn't sound like much, but really adds up in the long term. Another thing is unlocking relics from archaeology. We talked about archaeology a little bit earlier, but just training it and unlocking the relics can really help you. Things like Death Ward, which it decreases the damage you'll be taking the lower your health gets, or Fury of the Small, which with every single hit, you'll be getting a little bit extra adrenaline. And as I mentioned before, adrenaline is very important when you do PvM because it allows you to do the big powerful abilities, are very useful to unlock. Even at level 50, I believe it is, you can unlock the, I always call it the Darrock's relic, which pretty much allows you to get the Darrock set effect, so the lower health you get, the more damage you do, as a passive for literally all the styles. Combine it with Death Ward, and it's very easy to sit on low health and do a lot of damage. Definitely worth it. But let's say you need some clues, you need some money. Well, I recommend you doing clue scrolls. Even easy clue scrolls can make you a lot of money. Look, I'm pretty good at doing easy clue scrolls, and I can easily do 50 easy clue scrolls, and I obviously have the outfit, I know where all the steps are, I know how to search, etc. I can easily do 50 clue scrolls in an hour if I want to, and I can easily make 40 million GP an hour by doing clue scrolls. But even if you're a bit less skilled, or you don't have the outfit yet, you can, with the outfit, by the way, I mean the Globetrotter outfit, which you unlock by spending clue points. You can easily do or get 25 million GP an hour. And even if you don't like easy clue scrolls and you want to get a die, for example, like a Shadow die is currently going for 1.4 billion GP, go try your luck at some hearts. Hearts are general, good, consistent money, guaranteed at least 1 million GP every single clue scroll. And who knows, maybe you'll get one of the dice that is expensive. Obviously, you cannot get the really expensive dice because they're exclusive to Elites and Masters. Definitely worth doing if you don't like the PvMing part. And lastly, of course, work towards a Maxscape. Yeah, Maxscape is really good. The Max Guild is just nice to unlock, and it's just a good goal to work towards besides doing all the other things I mentioned. You know, do some PvM, train some skills, do some PvM, and it's just really, really nice. So lastly, towards the end of this video, I kind of want to be touching on some endgame goals. Look, endgame goals are a bit more difficult because I feel like the people that are there kind of know what they're doing. But if you feel lost and you don't know what to do, here's some things you could be doing. First of all, the dev cost will be reworked pretty much in a couple of days' time of me recording this video, and probably it's already reworked by the time you're seeing this video. It's being decreased by about 80 to 90%, so pretty much dev costs will not be that punishing anymore, and you'll be spending maybe a couple 100k, which if I'm now spending 5 to 8 million, it's a huge improvement. And obviously that money you'll be easily making back. Force yourself to start learning some new bosses. Get the Zok capes if you haven't done so already, because they're really, really good. Try some Zami with a friend, or maybe even solo if you want to, because it's very consistent money. I recently went there for an hour with quite slow skills. We didn't get any uniques. I made 20 million GP. Easy. Very easy. Or, you know, try some elite dungeons and try to run them solo or with a friend or whatever. Just force yourself to do some PVM, because 1, it's a lot of fun, and 2, there's no reason for you to be scared of death costs anymore. Next up, complete some boss logs. It's a great goal and it's a lot of fun, and especially if you don't do them one by one and you just kind of switch from bosses. Be like, okay, this hour I'm going to do an intense boss like solo next, for example, and then the next hour I'm just going to chill with DKs, and the next hour I'm going to do another intense boss like Raksha or something. Definitely worth doing. You will make a lot of money along the way, and in general it's fun if you do like PVM. Just a suggestion, and with that money you can start collecting rares like I am doing with my new series. By the way, it will be out this year, don't worry. Or work towards best in slot in each style if you haven't done so already. The way I always think about it, every single style will become best in slot at some point. We used to have melee as best in slot, then it was range, and now we're at magic. So look at magic, how many items just became very useful after the Fracture Staff of Armadale and some abilities. Who knows, maybe that will happen again with, well, it's already happening with range, but maybe that happens with melee as well. So just get everything best in slot and move on from there. And just, you know, lastly, get yourself a comp cape if you haven't done so already. Look at how beautiful it is on my character. Yes. The way I recommend you going about comp cape though is just starting the time gated ones, like farming, like 120 farming if you haven't done so already, but even the Garden of Karit, link in the description to my guide. Livid farm, which is pretty much collecting livid plants via the merchant, because you don't want to do livid farm, it's very depressing. Just collect the merchants. There's a Discord, which will also link in the description down below, where you'll be able to just get a ping every time it's in a traveling merchant, and then you can pick it up, get the points, and get that requirement done. And obviously play around ports. I will also have a guide, especially for the completionist requirement, by the way, it's specific to that. And just in general how it works. Get those done, and in the meantime, make money. So get all the time-gated ones out of the way. Whilst doing it, do the things you enjoy, because you probably just maxed or something, or, you know, you probably just came back from the game. Go PVM, go do clue scrolls, go do quests, go do whatever you enjoy doing. And make that money, because when all those time-gated ones are done, a requirement, you'll hopefully have enough money to be able to get your 120 Herblore and just blow money on the other racks to make it just as easy as possible. But those are just some tips and some goals you could be setting. I know it's a bit of a long video, but I really hope it is useful to you guys, and it gives you some good ideas on what you could be doing in 2023 within RuneScape. If you did enjoy this video, definitely go give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and yet again, let me know in the comment section down below what other goals you're setting for yourself, or just what other videos you would like to see from me. And my name's Chevalric, and see you guys in my next video. Shout out to our only channel member, Behemoth RS. If you want to become a channel member as well, consider joining the club and get a shout out as well.